Chapter 25 House. Most members of the Mad Dogs Football Club were regular guys who showered in the clubhouse after training and went home to their families. But the club was also the core of Sasha's criminal gang, and the crew that went onto his basement consisted of a dozen hardcore criminals aged from their late 20s up to around 50, and a similar number of hangers-on. Youngsters like Wheels and Junior, who saw the gang as a way of having fun and making easy money. Sasha had lived in the same row of 4-story houses his whole life. His elderly mother owned number 43, while Sasha lived next door with his wife and daughter. The basements of the two houses had been knocked together to make a gloomy hangout with a nicotine-stained ceiling. Whilst Junior and the younger lads held pool cues and drank supermarket brand lager, Sasha, Wheels, and the older gang members downed spirits and battled over the green felt of a poker table. To begin with, it was low stakes, with the players coming and going and everyone talking, puffing cigars and telling stories as bottles of spirits drained away. But by 11, the casual players had drifted home and things started getting serious. Sasha lost a couple of £100 when Wheels beat him with 3 queens, and he yelled at the kids around the pool tables to shut up and stop distracting him. Most of the youngsters took this as a cue to leave, including Junior. "You don't want to be here when one of those guys starts losing big," Junior explained. "I've seen Sasha stick a guy's head through a wall just for looking at him funny." Bruce was tired and wanted to go back to the zoo, but James couldn't leave until he'd spoken to Wheels. "Excuse me," James said nervously, as he approached the big shots at the table and crouched down beside Wheels. "I'm gonna get going, but you said about putting some business my way, so maybe I could give you my mobile number or something?" Wheels was a pup compared to the others around the table, but he had the biggest pile of cash. "I'm out," Wheels said dramatically, as he pushed back his chair, stood up, and began gathering his money. "Yeah, best to quit while you're ahead," Sasha said. "Go back to playing with the little kiddies." Wheels smiled as he straightened his pile of money so that it would fit in his pocket. "I'll be back on Friday," he said casually. "I want to win all your money a bit at a time, because I know how upset you gents would get if I won it all in one go." James smiled as the men around the table laughed. But Sasha looked at Wheels seriously. "Are you taking James out for a ride?" Wheels nodded. "If that's okay with you, boss." "He worked for Keith, so I guess we can trust him." Sasha shrugged. Then he pointed at Junior and Bruce. "But you're not planning on bringing these two along, are you?" The way Sasha said "are you" made it clear that he meant don't even think about it. James knew that Sasha was looking out for Junior, but he couldn't understand the concern for Bruce. "Here," Sasha said, grabbing a £20 note off the poker table and waving it at Junior. "It's late, so grab a car from the minicab office on the corner, and you can drop my man Bruce off at the zoo along the way." Bruce looked towards Wheels. "Can't I go with them?" Sasha shook his head. "You're the new star of Mad Dogs under-15s. I want those nimble feet tucked up in bed and fit for the match on Thursday night." Bruce was pissed off. He'd put on a show on the football pitch to attract Sasha's attention, but he was supposed to get involved in the criminal side of the gang, and it seemed footballing talent was no help on that score. "Here," Sasha said, reaching out to hand Bruce 3 tenors. "I expect you could do with a bit of pocket money." "Cheers," Bruce smiled. Junior and Bruce said their goodbyes, and James followed Wheels up the basement steps a few minutes later. At the top, They passed Sasha's 16-year-old daughter Lois, her curvy figure clad in a toweling gown. "Hey, Wheels," Lois said warmly, before turning towards James. "I haven't seen you before." "This is James Beckett," Wheels said uneasily. "He's a mate of Junior's." "How's it going?" Lois asked. "Not bad," James said, as he studied her freshly painted nails and unfeasibly perfect teeth. It seemed Sasha had forked out for some expensive dental work. "We've really got to split, Lois," Wheels said. "See you around, yeah?" Wheels sighed with relief as they stepped out onto the front doorstep. "You got a problem with her?" James asked. "Let's just say that a psychotic gangster and a hot teenage daughter is a dangerous combination." "She's got a great rack, though," James smirked as they headed towards Wheels' car. "Don't even think about her," Wheels said, shaking his head. "She's been around with a few guys from sixth form college, but Sasha's made it clear that she's not for the likes of us." James was disappointed as Wheels stopped walking beside an anonymous Vauxhall hatchback. He'd been expecting a hot rod. "Flash cars attract attention," Wheels explained as they climbed inside. "Besides, it's what you do behind the wheel that counts. So, where do you want to go?" James was confused. "I thought you had a plan or something." Wheels looked over his shoulder into the oncoming traffic before pulling away from the curb. It was less than 30 metres to the junction with a main road. "I was about your age when Sasha took me under his wing," Wheels explained, as they cruised past a line of shops. It was midnight, and everywhere except the convenience stores and takeaways had their shutters down. "Sasha taught me that the streets are paved with money." James smiled. "It's true," Wheels grinned as he pointed at a shop front. "Fried chicken joint. Even on a Monday, you can bet that there's 200 quid sitting behind the counter. Maybe 3 times that on a Friday or Saturday." "That's a nice BMW over there. Roll it onto a low loader and drive off, and you can sell it to a used parts dealer for a couple of grand. What's more, if you dress up like a wheel clamper, you can haul it away in broad daylight and nobody will bat an eyelid." "British Telecom," Wheels smiled, pointing at a grey van as they turned another corner. "If you try robbing a van, never go for some anonymous white number. Chances are the owner's self-employed and he takes all of his gear out at night. But the guys who work for telephone, electric and gas companies are employees. Nothing belongs to them, so they don't care what gets nicked. Copper pipe, electrical equipment, tools, even laptops sometimes." "So that's all you do?" James said, obviously disappointed. "You rob gear out of vans?" Wheels tutted. "No, you dickhead. I'm trying to make a point, which is that money is lying around everywhere, if you look for it." James shrugged. "Point taken." Wheels continued. "The second thing Sasha taught me is that you have to mix it up. You know on the TV news when you read about a spate of robberies or a spate of muggings?" James nodded. "No smart criminal ever gets involved in a spate of anything. Cops can't catch everyone, so they go for the crooks who make their lives easy. When you do the same thing 10 times, chances are the civilians are going to be behind their net curtains looking for you, and the police will be on your tail." "So you pull lots of different scams?" James asked. "Exactly," Wheels said. "That's why Sasha Thompson's been so good for so long. One week he's selling cocaine, the next week he's robbing a bank or stealing air conditioning units off a building site and shipping them to Dubai. And Sasha's third golden rule is to never get too big for your boots. You know in the movies how crooks always talk about doing one big score and then retiring? Yeah, always. James nodded. That's the last thing you should ever do. If you steal 100 grand, it'll get in the local paper and you'll have the local CID on your back for a day or two. But if you steal 10 million, you're going to be in the papers, on the TV news, and they'll put the best cops in the country on your back. What about drugs? James asked. Sasha's an old mate of Junior's dad, so I assumed he was mainly into dealing. Sure, he's into drugs. Wheels nodded. Making them, selling them, or ripping off dealers. No crook can ignore drugs because that's where all the money is. But first and foremost, Sasha and the whole Mad Dog's crew are old school thieves. Your chum Keith Moore is the classic example of someone who got too big for his boots. In the end, he had everyone from the local cops to MI5 and the FBI on his back. When you're drawing that much heat, sooner or later, you're going to slip up and get nailed. James nodded. He'd read the police files on Sasha Thompson, and the thing that stood out over a 30-year criminal career was his ability to stay out of trouble while those around him got busted. When Keith Moore was sent to prison, many had expected Sasha to step into his shoes and take control of the drug trade. Now James understood why he hadn't. But James knew Sasha had two weaknesses. Firstly, staying small makes it hard to stop ambitious upstarts like Major D from taking away your business. Second, Wheels' delight in showing how clever he was would surely be a big help with the mission. So are we just going to drive around all night? James asked. Wheels smiled. I've had a little scam on the cards for a few weeks now, but I need an extra body to pull it off. Take a look in the glove box. James flipped it open and looked suitably impressed when he saw a large Glock handgun. Nice piece. Cheers, Wheels said. But I was actually talking about the plastic card. James picked the card out of the glove box. It was silver, with a picture of a revolving door and the words Ambassador Suites written at the top. Hotel room key, James said, as he turned it over in his hands. So what? It's a brand new hotel down in the city, Wheels explained. The cheapest rooms are $400 a night, and the suites are nearer to $2,000. That card you're holding is a duplicate of the hotel manager's key. It lets you into every single room. Cool, James said, glancing at his watch. But won't everyone be in their rooms at this time of night? Absolutely, Wheels smiled. That's the whole point.